All right, to help us break this down and the feasibility of these proposals is U.S. defense policy and strategy expert, retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery, who is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Admiral, welcome to the show. Okay, a lot of people scratching their head after this press conference earlier today with President-elect Trump. You know, the idea of acquiring Greenland and Panama, it really seems out of the question, especially, you know, Greenland says not for sale. Panama saying Panama Canal not for sale. So what would it look like militarily to acquire these?
Well, thank you for having me, Lindsay. And I have to say first, I think in almost all of these areas, President Trump is having some fun. We're not going to military invade Panama or Greenland, you know, to seize these territories in either case. That's not how the United States operates, and that's not how President Trump will operate either. However, I mean, he is pointing out that both of them have significant economic productivity and national security impacts to the United States. And we should be paying better attention to the security issues in our own hemisphere. And for that, you know, I give him credit for drawing attention to both of these. But in both cases, this is about how do we work with Denmark to have a more secure Greenland and Greenland, Iceland, UK gap, which is an important national security concern for us. How do we properly, utilize the rare earth elements that are around Greenland and natural resources that are around Greenland in an effective way for both our countries and for the people of Greenland? And then for Panama, that's a legitimate issue that, you know, it's unfortunate that China operates 2 of the 6 ports associated with the Panama Canal. Now, on occasion, they've operated U.S. ports like Long Beach. So we have to be careful. You know, we're in a bit of a glass house here. But it is appropriate for him to draw attention to this and try to, you know, force the Panamanians to not have countries of concern operating ports in the vicinity of the Panama Canal. Those are legitimate. The idea of a military invasion is, I think, some form of trolling.
Yeah, and it seem like negotiations need to happen with these countries. I will say, though, Admiral, the U.S. did annex Hawaii, which was acquired in 1898, rather. From a historical standpoint, you know, how does this compare? I mean, you're saying it's out of the question here, but former President Trump, incoming President Trump, is known to do some things that are out of the box.
I think it'd be very hard for the president to execute some kind of combat operation against Greenland or Panama without bringing, a significant amount of the House and Senate against him. You know, so I really believe this is how he operates. He says challenging or intriguing things and then negotiates from that position. And you are correct, though. We have in the past, we purchased the U.S. Virgin Islands from Denmark in 1917. Now, that was at a time when they were in terrible economic condition. The Danes were having trouble. They were neutral in World War I, were having trouble exerting control over it. And there's a sense of urgency associated with the United States entry into World War I that allowed that sale to happen. But, you know, fast forward 25 years later, at the end of World War II, they were not willing to sell us Greenland and Iceland, even though we put up the equivalent of about $1 billion at the time to a distressed, Danish economy in 1946. So, over time, historically, these have become less and less feasible, these purchases of territory between 2 countries. And I don't believe Denmark has any interest in giving up its sovereignty over Greenland, and Panama certainly doesn't over the Panama Canal.
Yeah, and we used to have a military base in Greenland, Sonderstrom, there, but obviously that closed down. Admiral Mark Montgomery, thanks for your expertise tonight. Good to see you.